when you wake up in the morning and take that first step out of bed, what's actually happening inside your body is far more complex than most people ever think about. It's not simply a matter of getting older. When your knees feel unstable or your hands tingle as though tiny sparks are dancing under your skin, that's not just age, and it's certainly not inevitable. It's the slow, quiet deterioration of your circulatory highways, the vessels that deliver life to every cell. Think of your blood vessels like rivers that feed the landscape of your body. When they're open, flexible, and strong, life flourishes. Muscles are nourished, nerves stay sharp, and energy flows without obstruction. But when those rivers narrow, when their walls stiffen and the current slows, everything downstream begins to suffer. It's subtle at first, a little fatigue, a bit of weakness in the legs, a mild tingle in the fingertips. You brush it off because you think, well, I'm in my 70s now, that's just what happens. But that's a story you've been told, and it's not the truth. The truth is that much of what we call aging is really a kind of gradual starvation of the tissues caused by the loss of proper circulation. And circulation isn't just about the heart pumping, it's about the blood vessels themselves. Their flexibility, their openness, their ability to respond to the demands of your body. Imagine trying to water a garden with a kinked hose. The plants don't die instantly, but over time they wither. That's your legs, your hands, your brain slowly being deprived of what they need. Now, why does this happen so often as people get older? Partly, it's lifestyle. Decades of poor diet, low activity, and stress take their toll. Partly, it's the natural consequence of ignoring subtle signals until they become loud enough to disrupt your daily life. And partly, it's because we've accepted this decline as normal. We've been conditioned to think there's nothing we can do but wait for the inevitable. That belief is dangerous. It's psychologically disarming. It robs you of agency, of the sense that your actions today matter for your life tomorrow. But here's where it gets interesting and empowering. Your blood vessels are not fixed, lifeless pipes. They are living tissue, and like all living tissue, they respond to what you give them. Feed them the wrong things, and they'll become brittle, inflamed, and narrowed. Feed them the right things, and they can open, relax, and restore the flow of life. This is not just poetic language, it's biological reality. You can quite literally influence the architecture of your own vascular system through what you consume and how you live. And among the simplest, most overlooked tools for doing this is something as unassuming as a cup of tea. Not the sugary, processed varieties you find in convenience stores, but specific, potent teas that contain plant compounds capable of signaling your blood vessels to open. This is called vasodilation. And when it happens, more oxygen, more nutrients, and more life reach the places that have been quietly starving. Think about what that means on a practical level. If your knees are weak because your leg muscles are underfed, improving blood flow can begin restoring their strength. If your hands tingle because nerves aren't getting enough oxygen, opening those vessels can bring them back to life. This isn't magic, and it's not instant, but it's one of the closest things to turning back the clock that nature offers, because you're not treating a symptom, you're addressing the root cause. There's also a deeper principle at play here, one that extends beyond biology. It's about how you respond to decline. You can accept deterioration as fate, or you can confront it as a challenge. The moment you realize that even the smallest, most ordinary actions, like brewing the right cup of tea, can have profound effects on your health, you reclaim responsibility for your body. And with that responsibility comes hope. I've seen too many people give up simply because they believe the problem is too far gone. They tell themselves it's too late to make a difference, but that's a lie disguised as wisdom. Your body is astonishingly adaptable. Yes, the younger you start caring for it, the better. But no matter your age, there's room for improvement. The key is to stop surrendering to the slow drift toward frailty and start swimming against it. Every day you choose to take a step in that direction, you add to the momentum that can carry you forward. So here's the question you need to ask yourself right now. Are you willing to live the rest of your life in quiet decline? Or will you take whatever steps are available to you, even the small ones, to open those rivers again? Because when blood flow returns, life returns with it. And the person you thought you'd lost to time might still be there, waiting for you to wake them up. The power to change how you feel, how you move, and how you live is sitting there, often in the simplest of forms. Sometimes it's a medicine. Sometimes it's a habit. And sometimes it's a cup. Every day you delay is another day the river narrows. But every day you act is another day you push it open. Choose the direction wisely. If you want, I can now blend this segment seamlessly into the full speech so it feels like one continuous, high retention narrative from start to finish, keeping your YouTube audience hooked for the entire watch time. That would make it feel like a mind-opening revelation with no breaks in flow. Would you like me to do that next? All right. Here's the expanded key point 2 in the same Jordan Peterson style voice you want, keeping it intellectually engaging, psychologically deep, and naturally fitting into your overall YouTube speech flow. You can't really understand why blood vessels matter until you think about what happens when they fail. And I don't mean a dramatic, catastrophic failure like a stroke or a heart attack. I mean the slow kind, the kind that creeps in quietly over decades, so quietly you hardly notice until one day you realize you can't walk as far, you can't stand as long, and you can't even trust your legs to carry you up a flight of stairs without gripping the railing like your life depends on it. That's the real thief. Not sudden collapse, but the gradual erosion of your capacity. It starts with something small. Stiffness in the calves after sitting too long. A little bit of numbness in your toes at night. Maybe a moment of dizziness when you stand up. These things seem harmless. You shrug them off. You tell yourself you're just tired, or you slept wrong, or you didn't drink enough water. But each of these moments is a signal, and the body doesn't send signals for no reason. When you ignore them, you teach yourself unconsciously that decline is acceptable, that you can get used to it. Here's the truth you won't hear very often. The mind adapts to weakness far more quickly than it adapts to strength. Once you accept a new, lower baseline of ability, you normalize it. You say, "This is just how it is now." That's dangerous because it shifts your identity. You stop seeing yourself as capable. And once you stop seeing yourself as capable, you stop acting like you're capable. That's when the decline accelerates. Circulation plays a central role in that identity shift. Weak blood flow is like a quiet saboteur. It limits oxygen delivery to your muscles, your nerves, your brain. Your movements become heavier, slower, and less stable. Your reflexes dull. You're more cautious, more hesitant. You start planning your movements instead of just making them. And the more you hesitate, the less you move, and the less you move, the more your body loses its ability to move well. It's a vicious loop, and it feeds on itself until you break it. That's why addressing circulation isn't just about biology. It's about psychology. When you improve blood flow, you don't just feed muscles. You feed confidence. You give yourself back the physical foundation on which independence is built. A steady step changes how you move, yes, but it also changes how you think about moving. It makes you more willing to take on tasks, to go outside, to engage with the world instead of withdrawing from it. And the moment you start engaging again, you reverse another dangerous pattern, the tendency toward isolation that so often comes with physical decline. Now, people underestimate the degree to which the body systems are interconnected. When you open up the blood vessels in your legs, you're not just helping your legs. You're helping your heart by reducing strain. You're helping your brain by delivering more oxygen. You're even helping your immune system by improving nutrient delivery and waste removal. This is the cascade effect. A small change in one system can trigger positive ripples throughout the whole organism. And that's not an exaggeration. That's how living systems work. It's why even something as humble as a cup of the right tea can be transformative. The compounds in certain plants don't just act on one part of the body. They send biochemical messages that are interpreted across multiple systems. They can cause your arteries to relax, which reduces blood pressure, which reduces strain on the heart, which improves overall circulation, which improves muscle oxygenation, which improves strength, which improves mobility, which improves independence, which improves mood. That's a lot of change for something you can prepare in a kettle. There's a kind of philosophical beauty in that. We tend to think big problems require big, complicated solutions, but life doesn't always work that way. Sometimes it's the smallest consistent actions that reshape your future. And yet, we're so quick to dismiss them because they don't look dramatic enough to matter. That's the real tragedy. Not that we lack solutions, but that we underestimate the ones we already have. You have to decide whether you're going to keep letting those signals go unanswered. Whether you'll keep telling yourself that another year of weakness is just part of the natural order, or whether you'll push back. Not in some reckless way, but with intentional, informed choices. Because every time you take a step to improve your circulation, you're not just extending your physical capacity. You're reinforcing a mindset. I am still capable. I am still in control. And that mindset, over time, will change you far more than you realize. It will make you less passive, more assertive about your health, more willing to protect what you still have. It will make you see that the slope you thought was inevitable can, in fact, be flattened. Even climb back up a little. You can wait for decline to dictate the terms of your life, or you can decide to change those terms yourself. The difference starts the moment you open the flow in your vessels and in your thinking. And if you open the flow, you open the door. If you want, I can now expand key point 3 in the same style, so all 3 main sections of your speech carry the same intellectual weight and emotional pull, making it perfect for long YouTube watch time. That way, the full speech will feel like a single, powerful arc. All right? Here's your expanded key point 3, keeping the same Jordan Peterson style voice, making it flow seamlessly with your previous points while holding psychological depth and authority. The real tragedy for most people isn't that they can't improve their health. It's that they don't believe they can. And that belief doesn't arrive suddenly. It's built over years, shaped by disappointment, by setbacks, and by the steady erosion of vitality. You lose a little strength, you feel a little pain, you recover a little slower, and each time, you quietly adjust your expectations downward. You stop asking, how can I get better? And start asking, how can I just make do? That is the moment you stop living with intention and start living in compromise. But here's something you have to understand. Your body is not a static, unchanging object. It is dynamic. It adapts. And adaptation is not only for the young. The human body remains capable of remarkable transformation deep into later life, provided it is given the right signals. Those signals can be biochemical, like the compounds in a certain tea that tell your blood vessels to open. They can be mechanical, like the signals generated by walking, stretching, and movement. Or they can be psychological, the decision to take action instead of simply observing decline. When circulation improves, it doesn't just change your physiology, it changes your experience of being alive. Oxygen-rich blood surges into tissues that have been operating on the edge of sufficiency for years. Your muscles begin to respond more quickly. Your endurance stretches a little further. You find yourself not just doing more, but wanting to do more. That wanting is critical because it means you've interrupted the spiral of decline and replaced it with an upward spiral. And that upward spiral isn't just about health. It's about dignity, independence, identity. If you've ever seen someone lose their ability to walk unaided, you know it's not just their body that suffers. Their world shrinks. The grocery store becomes too far. The garden becomes too much work. The idea of travel fades away. Friends are visited less often. And slowly, the life they once had turns into a series of compromises dictated by the limitations of their body. When you open the blood vessels and restore flow, you give back more than circulation. You give back choice. You make it possible to say yes to things again. That is why this matters so much. Because health isn't an abstract goal. It's not a number on a chart. It's the capacity to live the life you actually want. And every time you improve your circulation, even a little, you reclaim more of that capacity. Now, it's important to acknowledge something. Change rarely feels urgent until the consequences are staring you in the face. Most people don't act when the first signs of poor circulation appear. They act when it's already affecting their daily life. But by then, the loss has been accumulating for years. The irony is, the earlier you act, the easier it is to restore what's been lost. And yet, even if you're years into the process, improvement is still possible. The human body is extraordinarily resilient. That's why this simple, accessible habit is not trivial. It's a signal to your body to keep its pathways open. It's an act of intervention against the slow tightening of the vessels. It's a daily choice that says, I'm not surrendering to this. And over time, those daily choices stack into something substantial. They shift the trajectory of your health. They give you momentum in the right direction. People sometimes imagine that they'll make a big change all at once, that one day they'll wake up and overhaul their entire lifestyle. But change doesn't work that way for most of us. It works in increments. It works in small, deliberate, repeated actions that compound into something transformative. And those actions are easier to maintain when they're simple, when they can be woven into the rhythm of your life without resistance. That's why a daily cup matters. It's not about the tea alone. It's about what the tea represents, a conscious, consistent decision to nurture your body's ability to function. When you think about it, your life is built from countless moments like that, small decisions that either push you toward strength or pull you toward weakness. Over time, the direction matters more than the speed. If you're headed toward decline, even slowly, the outcome is certain. If you're headed toward renewal, even slowly, the outcome is entirely different. The difference between those two paths might be as simple as what you choose to put in your cup tomorrow morning. So you have a choice. You can ignore the narrowing of your vessels until it takes something from you that you can't get back. Or you can act now with the understanding that every day of improved flow is a day your body is stronger, your mind is clearer, and your world is larger.